Aang was saved from his frozen state by Katara and Sokka, and together they traveled the world to learn the elements and take down the Fire Nation. That's a story we all know and love, but what if things played out a little bit differently? What if Katara and Sokka just sailed right past him, and Aang had to free himself from the iceberg? Could he really save the world without his friends by his side? Welcome back to the Casual TV channel, and today we're breaking down how Aang might have saved the world all on his own. Now for Aang to escape that iceberg without Katara, we have to do a little bit of imagining. For this hypothetical, we can make it a little bit poetic. The storm that put him in the iceberg is the one that's going to take him out. Let's say another massive storm comes through and crashes his iceberg into another one. Cracking it open, the beam of light shoots into the sky, and just like that, the Avatar returns. The difference is, this time Aang has no clue what's happened in the last 100 years. Katara was the one who told him about the war, and without her, he probably wandered a little bit before heading back to the Southern Air Temple. There, he discovered the ruins of his people, find Gyatso's remains, and enter the Avatar state, which would alert the rest of the world that the Avatar had returned. This moment here is a decision that could go two ways. Like I said, Aang doesn't know how long it's been since he's entered the ice at this point. He could go see an old friend and head to Amashu and see Bumi, but I think it'd be more logical to check the other air temples to find out what happened to the southern one. Aang hops on Appa and takes a trip to the air temples, but this adventure is stopped rather quickly at the eastern air temple because guess who's there? Guru Patik. He said he had a vision years ago that he would help out the Avatar, so I'd imagine he's been there for a very long time. This is where Aang learns the rundown of what's been going on in the last 100 years. The Airbenders, the Fire Nation, and the state of the world. Aang will be overwhelmed, but this will be an excellent spot for him to learn about the spiritual side and the Avatar state with the Guru. With practice and diligence, I believe Aang can master the Avatar state and his connection to the spirit world. This is taking a long time though, like a month at least. Definitely not the week he does in the show, especially since he just found out his disappearance directly correlated with the state of the world. Once Guru Patik feels Aang is ready, he sends him off to learn the other elements. But Aang, at this moment, still doesn't know anything about the comet. Aang heads straight to the Northern Water Tribe and search for a waterbending teacher. His teacher, the same master he had in the show, Master Pakku. Master Pakku is going to play a very important role, but we'll get to that part later. Aang learns waterbending without the time crunch, until he visits the Spirit Oasis. That's where he connects with Avatar Roku and finally learns about the comet. Now Aang is panicking. He has to master the remaining elements fast if he's going to stop the Fire Nation. So he and Pakku bring the bad news to the Northern Water Tribe chief, and Pakku hops up and says, "I think I know a few guys." He sends his messages out to the White Lotus members, letting them know that Aang needs a teacher, and he joins Aang on his travels. Naturally, the most obvious place to meet all the White Lotus teachers would be Ba Sing Se. But if we use Guru Patik's vision, we also have to honor Iroh's as well. So when Pakku and Aang pull up to Ba Sing Se, the drill plan from the original show for the Fire Nation was actually pulled off successfully since Aang was not there to stop them. The Earth Kingdom nation had fallen once more. The logical next step is Omashu, which is also already taken over by the Fire Nation, except this time the rebels are still in the city, and Bumi knows what's at stake if Aang doesn't learn earthbending. Aang, Pakku, and Bumi take back the city of Omashu with the rebels' help. With Aang's Avatar state, they easily take back the Earth Kingdom city. So Aang has found himself a waterbending and an earthbending White Lotus teacher. And the third one is pulling up to Omashu as well. The most obvious person would be Uncle Iroh, but he would still be traveling around the world with Zuko looking for Aang. And Zuko probably did not get close to Aang one time in this version if we're being honest. So the firebender that joins our new team Avatar at Omashu is actually Zhong, the first person to teach Aang firebending in the original story. Aang, being 112 himself, is surrounded by a bunch of high-level old heads with a lot of knowledge and experience between them. Aang will be learning from the best of the best, and learning from the past mistakes that have been going on in the world. Now the plan? How will Aang stop the Fire Nation and the Fire Lord? As Sozin's comet approaches, Aang heads to the old people's camp outside of Ba Sing Se, where he meets Iroh and Zuko for the first time. Zuko will still be good in this version, because Iroh still lets him know the story of his grandfathers, and he sees how the Fire Nation affects people. And if you don't agree with that, I don't care, this is my story, I can write it how I want. We still got the Warfleet information that P and Dao would have given Sokka. That would be given to Aang, and he definitely needs a partner to try and stop the fleet. Zhong would be the best bet because he could fly around, shoot big huge fireballs at the fleet, or he can make that firewall that we saw in the finale of the original show. We would still need Zuko to go and battle Azula, but he doesn't have the original firebending technique from the Firebending Masters episode. and Azula is not going crazy because Ty Lee and May aren't going to betray her, so he's going to need as much help as possible. It'd probably be good to give him some waterbending help like in the original show, so we could send him Master Paku and Master Piandao too, why the hell not? They're going to need a lot to beat Azula, but I think they could get it done in a 3-on-1. The only other option would be to defeat the Fire Lord, defeat the Ba Sing Se troops, and then everybody regroups and takes down the Fire Nation capital all at the same time, which would be pretty cool to see, honestly. Now the big question, how does Aang take out the Fire Lord in this version? Without meeting the Lion Turtle, he doesn't learn energy bending. So does he actually end the Fire Lord Ozai for good? I don't think so. Even here, Aang's morals wouldn't let him go that far. Instead, he would completely overpower Ozai until the Fire Lord couldn't fight anymore. Remember, in this version, Aang has spent months diligently training, mastering the Avatar state, sharpening every elemental skill. He's stronger, more disciplined, and more experienced than the Aang we saw in the original show. And if you're worried about lightning, by this point, he already met with Iroh and learned a little bit about how to redirect it. That means there's really nothing Ozai could throw at him that Aang isn't prepared for. He's been training with the best masters alive. By the time Sozin's comet hits, he has more than enough to defeat Fire Lord Ozai head-on. Aang escaping the iceberg by himself would have still fulfilled his destiny and brought balance to the world and an end to the Fire Nation's war. At the end of the day, this alternate version shows that Aang probably could have saved the world without Team Avatar. Surrounded by White Lotus Masters, learning from the best of the best, he might have been even more prepared to fight Ozai than he was in the original timeline. But what this version lacks are the relationships that shaped Aang into the Avatar we know and love. Without Katara, Sokka, and Toph, Aang might have had the skills to win, but not the heart. His friends didn't just help him fight the Fire Nation, they helped him grow, stay grounded, and carry the weight of being the Avatar in a world that needed hope. So sure, Aang could have done it with the White Lotus, but the original story reminds us that saving the world isn't just about power, it's about friendship, trust, and the people you lean on along the way. And that's why the Team Avatar version will always hit a little bit harder. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any more of my videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.